Hey everyone, and welcome right back to The Explainer. So today we're diving into a topic that, honestly, almost everyone deals with, but we kind of never talk about it out loud. We're talking about that lingering sense of social frustration and the genuine desire for real-world friends. If you've ever found yourself wishing you just had a tighter circle of people without having to stare at a screen for hours on end, you are in the exact right place. We're going to lay out a complete step-by-step roadmap to transform that frustration into authentic, real-life connection.
You know what's crazy? How to make friends is literally one of the most massively Googled phrases out there. I find that absolutely fascinating. But hey, it makes total sense, right? We're looking to validate our struggles by searching for answers. But here's the kicker. Turning to Google or social media for human connection almost always leads to a massive dead end. I mean, Google just tells you to reconnect with old friends. WikiHow gives you these deeply strange illustrations. Reddit tells you to start a random cornhole club. And meetup websites, they're usually just ghost towns in real life. The internet, ironically enough, has absolutely no real answers for human connection.
Okay, so let's dive into the actual structure here, what we're calling the friendship funnel. We've synthesized 16 distinct methods from our source material into a super easy to follow chronological playbook. We're going to cover the digital friendship trap, overcoming your mind, the art of initiating, deepening the connection, securing the friendship, and finally, protecting your personal data. Let's get into it.
Step 1. The digital friendship trap, or why our apps are totally failing us right now.
There is just this massive, glaring contrast between the illusion of digital platforms and their harsh realities. Just think about it for a second. TikTok is literally designed to keep you entertained when you are completely alone. LinkedIn, it honestly feels like a dystopian simulation half the time. You jump on Tinder expecting to schedule dates, and nobody shows up. You send out messages on Instagram, and it's just crickets. Our digital expectation is connection, but the reality is pure isolation. And that leaves us with really only one foolproof option: talking to actual people in real life. Moving on to step 2, overcoming your mind, which is really just about getting out of your own head.
Oh man, we all know this feeling. Overthinking. It's that agonizing, almost painful process where you get a thought, you filter it, you imagine yourself saying it, you modify it, you internally approve it, and then you finally push it out of your mouth only to mumble it because the conversation moved on like 3 minutes ago. It happens to the best of us. But here is the major mindset shift you need right now. Getting outside of your head means just putting the thought out there. And if you say something cringe or a little awkward, you've got to reframe that. That isn't a failure. It's literally just practice. Which brings us to a huge breakthrough. You absolutely have to let out your natural, unfiltered self right from the jump. Why? Because being unfiltered is like a natural magnet for compatible friends. And even better, it quickly filters out the boring ones or the people you're just never going to click with anyway. Go ahead and talk about your weird, unique interests, even if it's incredibly niche, like, I don't know, pressure washing driveways. It gives people something memorable to associate with you. And most importantly, do not force connections with incompatible people. Socializing is essentially a stress-free numbers game. If the vibe isn't right, just be nice and move on. All right, step 3, the art of initiating, how to break the ice effortlessly. So the secret sauce here is a formula we like to call being the main character. Here's how it works. You initiate with literally any sentence that pops into your head, just assuming that everyone in the room wants to talk to you. Then, instead of rambling on about yourself, you pivot and ask simple questions about their lives. Listen carefully to what they say, and then, this is key, ask follow-up questions that prove you actually heard them. When you do this, you make the other person feel so comfortable that eventually they're going to start initiating with you.
Let's break down 2 micro-strategies that are absolute game changers for initiating. First up is the pickup line. And no, definitely not a romantic one. We mean having a universal, go-to question you can ask anyone in any room to kickstart a chat and avoid standing there awkwardly by yourself. Because everyone has a different answer, it just naturally flows into a real conversation. The second is the ISO play, which is totally borrowed from basketball. If you're feeling completely overwhelmed in a massive group setting, look around and find that one quiet person who isn't really talking. Pull them into a quick side conversation. Maybe ask them for a tiny bit of help with something. It makes them feel incredibly special, and it instantly takes the pressure off of you.
Which leads us to step 4, deepening the connection, moving way past that awkward, polite stage.
Our source roots this next strategy in a really profound piece of wisdom from Dale Carnegie. He said, if you go looking to find friends, you'll find very few. But if you go looking to be a friend, you'll find many. I mean, that just hits a nail on the head, right? It highlights this brilliant strategy of just completely bypassing the polite stage altogether. Don't wait around for someone to treat you like a friend. Treat them like an old friend the second you meet them. Light up when you see them, use their name, joke around a bit. You wouldn't believe how fast that brings people's defensive walls crashing down.
And you know what's really fascinating about this? It proves that you do not need to scientifically hack people's brains with like weird eye contact ratios to make friends. You literally just need to care. Try being the transparent friend by sharing just a little bit outside your comfort zone. Honestly, even just admitting, hey, I think you're cool and I'd love to hang out sometime works wonders. Then there's the injury update. Instead of that generic, how are you, ask if anything's been bothering them lately and genuinely empathize if they're having a bad day. And finally, be a side character. Make them feel like $1,000,000 just by remembering the little details about their lives. Listen and validate. All right, step 5, securing the friendship, making the connection actually last. So here is the $1,000,000 question, right? How do we take a really great one-time interaction and turn that person into a permanent friend? We're pivoting right now from social theory into the highly actionable real-world follow-through. Because let's be real, if you skip this next part, all that brave initiating you just did was basically for nothing. So here are the final 4 methods to really lock in that bond. First, the group chat. If you have a blast with 3 or 4 people, be the one to step up, make the group chat, and organize round 2. Boom, you instantly have everyone's numbers. Next, become an activity buddy. Find out what they've always wanted to try and just offer to go do it with them. It totally frames hanging out as you doing them a solid. Third, do a favor. Bring some value to the table using your own unique expertise. And finally, this one sounds counterintuitive, ask for a favor. Ask them to watch your laptop for a second or give you quick directions. It actually builds a ton of trust because it lets them look generous with practically 0 effort. Consistent shared activities and mutual value, that is the absolute glue of lasting friendships. And finally, step 6, protecting your personal data. It's a crucial tangent for the digital age we live in. So as we're out there actively connecting in the real world, our source brings up a really relevant point. We've got to protect our data online. Every single time you sign up for an app or a service, data brokers are out there selling your info, which is exactly why you get so much endless spam. The source highlights the concrete impact of using an automated privacy tool. We're talking about removing your data from 86 different websites, actively fighting 43 companies, and get this, saving 64 hours of mind-numbing manual work. That's literally a week and a half of full-time work. It's such an effective way to kill those annoying spam texts and take back hours of your life. Hours that you can now spend, you guessed it, hanging out with your brand new friends in the real world. Which brings us to the very end of our explainer today. We've journeyed all the way from the digital trap to securing lasting real-world bonds. So I want to leave you with this final, vital question. Are you ready to close the app, step outside, and start treating strangers like friends? Because the real world is out there waiting for you. And trust me, it is full of people who are just hoping someone exactly like you will walk up and initiate. So get out there, have some fun with it, and remember, every awkward moment is literally just practice. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.